Welcome into another episode of Betting the Pitch. I'm your host, the real underscore G Warner. Thank you. If you're listening on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Trying to get those subscriber numbers a lot higher. If you're on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review. That'd be huge. I'm going to read one end of show just to make sure everyone that's putting stuff in there, you know that I'm looking out for it, and I really appreciate that. If you're on Twitter, smash the follow button, the real underscore G Warner. Today we're actually going to go through some midweek matches, but there's one more match in the EPL, the Boxing Day festive fixtures. I guess festive fixtures are going a while, but you can check back to episode 152 for that podcast where I talk through all of the English Premier League matches during the week. But this is just going to be the return of Spanish football, La Liga, and also Ligue 1 from France. Looks like Italy and Germany are a long way away from actually participating in this thing called soccer. I don't really know what the deal is, but it's kind of ridiculous how long it's been taking. But with that said, who cares? We're going to go over what we have. So it might be a little bit shorter of an episode today. But really looking forward to some off the beaten path type of leagues coming out. And then the French league is about as far as I'll go. So if you guys want more on like the Portuguese league or other leagues out there, let me know. I have not delved into that because I really don't know where I can watch that here in the US. Broadcast today from South Carolina. If anyone's in the neighborhood, hit me up. I guess might as well get into it. So all lines quoted in this podcast are courtesy of betonline.ag. It's my favorite place to get my bets down early. Reduced juices offered on almost every game you want to bet right up until game time. Please follow the link found in the podcast description below to fund your account and use the promo code GW50 to receive a 50% match bonus up to $1,000. Now, hopefully we can keep the dogs in line and they're not going to scream bloody murder. My phone is on Do Not Disturb. And let's get in. It's time for a little bit of talk on La Liga. So plenty of players played in Europe or played in the World Cup in Qatar. And ultimately, who knows what lineups are going to look like. But that's kind of how we do this podcast every week. I do think there will be some, the Argentines don't look like they're anywhere near. They're probably still partying right now on the 27th of December as I record this. So it's been a week, but imagine they're probably actually on their way back to the clubs. But as we saw in the Premier League, in England, there's a lot of rotation. I would expect that for a lot of these teams. But the good part is a lot of the lower teams didn't send anybody away over the break, and they've been practicing together and hopefully getting better. Though I got to say, it was not very competitive. The big clubs were all much, much better in the return, at least so far that I've watched. So we'll get to Spain. We'll start there. We'll go to France next. Ultimate best bet end of show per usual. But I'll start in Spain, because that's where the money is on this podcast. The next EPL website or podcast will be for the weekend's matchups, which will probably be recorded tomorrow or the next day, I'd be my guess. Anyway, so Girona and Rayo Vallecano. This one is in Girona, which I believe is a suburb of Barcelona. Don't quote me on that one, but I think it is. Currently, Girona, a quarter goal favorite at home. All the juice on Rayo on the road, and the over-under is 2 1/4. So Girona were playing really well as they went into the international break for the World Cup. And unfortunately, as we saw today with Nottingham Forest, it's really hard to keep that momentum going, even if your players are together and you didn't lose too much to the World Cup. I guess Roman Freuler did go for Switzerland, but whatever. Unfortunately, I feel like we need to treat all of these restarts like it's the beginning of the season. What was done before gives us an idea of what these teams are and who they are. And I feel like a lot of these lines reflect the, I guess, standings or exactly where they sit in the table, which could be something that we exploit going forward. But for now, it's treating this like a new season. Girona, they came into the league and wanted to play defensive football. I think that's worked pretty well for them. They brought in Oriol Romeu from Southampton at the end of the transfer window, and he's been a pretty good idea of kind of who they're going to be. Very physical, very defensive. He has scored some goals to win, so I guess it's not completely that way, but That's, I think, what Girona want to do is they want to stay in this league, and they've got off to a good start, at least from what I remember, despite having to sell one of their best players. And I mean, a lot of happened for a lot of European teams. Rayo Vallecano, on the other hand, they were expected to go down last season. They play on a really small pitch at home. They play a counterattacking style that did not work very well on the road for them last year. And I hate to talk about the team because they've changed so much year to year. But Rayo essentially started the year off really well last year, playing the worst teams in La Liga all at home. And it just seemed to be how that schedule worked out. And also put them in like talk for going to Europe, which was ridiculous based on how they finished the season. But I've been looking to kind of go against Rayo Vallecano. I do like their counterattacking strategy, and it seems like their manager is beloved by a lot. Feels like Graham Potter was in England a couple of seasons ago. Antonio Iriola, I believe. Anyway, and what I expect Rayo to do is the same strategy they've had for years. And it helps that they've been in La Liga. They didn't lose a lot. They're still one of the smaller clubs in the Spanish top division. So I don't know that they had a ton of players they were missing, maybe to the Spanish national team, but I'm not really sure there was anybody. They're basically a bunch of little guys that want to get on the counterattack and run at you. The nice part is that Girona don't have a great offense, and ultimately they're going to be, I mean, they're supposed to win this match. They're giving a quarter of a goal. So they kind of have to, in order to pay backers their money. So I lean to Rayo. I like that quarter of a goal. I don't see a ton of goals in this matchup. 2.25 seems pretty low, especially compared to what we've seen in the Premier League since its return. That definitely is a concern for me moving forward. But from where I sit right now, I guess I lean to Rayo getting a quarter of a goal, and I lean to that under 2.25. Certainly more safety in the under 2.25. The only problem is if Rayo jumps on Girona and scores a ton of goals. I just don't really think that's necessarily as likely. So I think I actually like the under 2.25 better than Rayo getting a quarter. And Rayo's also pretty expensive at the moment with all the juice as we speak, or as I speak. One man band style. Next we'll go Real Betis and Athletic Club of Bilbao. And actually surprised to see it's a pick 'em, but more of the juice on Athletic Club right now on the road. They came into the year playing really well, and they have another new manager. I feel like there's always a new one at Athletic Club because they really haven't been living up to expectations for the past few seasons. It changed a little bit at the beginning, and then I think we're back to where we were. Iñaki Williams going to Ghana for the World Cup, his younger brother Nico going to Spain. I mean, those were certainly things that probably weren't expected going into the season, but they started to play really well, got onto their national teams, and then team kind of went down and it didn't really matter. They still were on their World Cup rosters. So from my perspective, Real Betis they have a huge crowd support. Went to their match a couple seasons ago, got hit with a cigarette, which is hilarious, but because they thought I was German, rooted for the other team. Anyway, that's the end of that story. But Real Betis, they've got a lot of players from all over. Nabil Fekir probably should have been in the running for a French spot, but I don't remember him making that cut. Ultimately, Real Betis, they do have a lot of good players. I mean, Athletic Club, they had the goalkeeper for Spain, but I mean, ultimately, Unai Simon has got plenty of problems in him, mistakes in him. I don't know that I necessarily agree with Athletic Club being favored on the road at the Benito Villamarin. It just seems really, really respectful of an Athletic Club team that really hasn't delivered, and really, I just don't think they're better than Real Betis. So very interested in Betis right now at the pick'em. Currently over under is 2.25, and Athletic Club are a counterattacking system. They really want to go there. It's been the same way under all their managers since I've been paying attention. Maybe Valverde, their new manager, who spent some time at Barcelona, also was at Athletic Club previously. He hasn't really changed the strategy, and I think that's something that would be really hard to implement with some of your players out in the World Cup. So I imagine that would still be the same sort of idea. That makes me lean towards under a little bit, though I do think there's some goal scoring in this team. And ultimately, I feel like Real Betis has been a really great bet for a couple seasons now as an underdog. So I'm hoping that Athletic Club gets steamed even higher. It certainly would make me wonder why that's the case. But I feel like some of these betting markets aren't as sharp as you might see in the United States, especially with the NFL and things like that. So if Real Betis moves to an underdog, very interested. And I don't really have a feel for the total because I feel like both these teams can score a bunch of goals. But I guess per usual, I wouldn't expect them to in the first game back from the break. Atletico Madrid then host Elche in the nightcap these are Thursday matches on the 29th of December. We have some earlier ones coming up, so stay tuned if you're trying to get some bets in tomorrow. the 28th of December. Anyway, Atletico Madrid, a 1 3/4 goal favorite. Elche with all the juice. Over under is 2 3/4. Atletico Madrid are a team that I like to go against. And I don't really think they're anywhere near as good as they get rated from the Spanish market. Certainly they won the league a couple seasons ago, but that's a very different performing group, despite a lot of the similar faces and names. And I just don't really believe in Atletico. The nice part for them, though, is they start the year with one of the worst, if not the worst team in all of La Liga, who's been through, I think, 4 managers already this season. Elche certainly have been in a position to work together to try to get as much cohesion as possible as they enter into the second half of the season. But I am going to need them to prove it. I think I want at least +2. They're a very juiced 1 3/4 right now, so I don't think that'll get there. I do think goals will be tough in this matchup for both these teams. I don't like either of their offenses, but Elche's defense is so bad that I think I've learned my lesson with trying to back them in any form or fashion. I'm just really looking to go against them as a favorite, which I don't think will have many opportunities for that. But I don't think either of these teams score a bunch of goals. So under 2 3/4 would probably be if I have to pick, I'll make that pick. Friday on the 30th of December, we have Getafe hosting Mallorca. Currently Getafe, a pick 'em with almost all the juice right now. Over under is 1 3/4. It's the first one I've seen dip below 2, but it's for good reason. Two really, really defensive teams. If either were an underdog, I think I'd be interested. Mallorca less likely because they're on the road, having to go to a suburb of Madrid. But ultimately, Getafe's defense is, I guess, what's going to keep them in the league if they do stay in the league. But I think their offense is really, really problematic and could be a position where that under 1 3/4 doesn't even seem high enough, because the problem here is that you want to push on 2 usually with unders, especially considering how many crazy things happen with VAR, with all the amount of time added on from Spanish leagues even before watching the World Cup did. And I wouldn't be shocked if they started to add extra time from nowhere, it seems. But I was hoping to get Mallorca here because I know that they can keep Getafe from scoring. I think a clean sheet is very likely for Mallorca. I don't know necessarily. I mean, it's hard to say it ever is likely, but I think there's a very good chance Mallorca do keep a clean sheet. I think Getafe could do it to Mallorca as well. I prefer Mallorca. I think they're a better club. Looking for them to continue to move, maybe to a 1/4 goal underdog, maybe a very juiced one by the time this kicks off, or I might actually have some interest in Mallorca at Pick'em. I don't love fighting the home crowd of Getafe because it's been pretty good for the last couple seasons. They've been a lot better there at home than they have been on the road. But that under 1 3/4 says a lot, especially a very juiced under 1 3/4. There aren't going to be goals in this matchup. Next, we'll go Cadiz hosting Almeria. Currently, Cadiz a 1/4 goal favorite. All the juice on Almeria right now. Over under is 2 1/4. I'm very interested to understand why and really want to think about after I finish this podcast why Cadiz are favored. They've been up and down. It's amazing they've still in the Primera División in Spain. They have not deserved it. They're not a good team. They don't have money. They fight like hell, which I guess true underdog story. We should all love them, but as a favorite, I just don't really believe in them. Almeria were another one of those recently promoted sides that I thought were very competitive in the first portion of the season, not necessarily the half, but I guess first third of the season, maybe a little more than that. I think they can go to Cadiz and win the match. I don't think a draw is even a difficult result for them. I feel like, of course, Cadiz can win this match. They'll have a big home crowd behind them. But I don't know that they were really that intense or make it that hard of a place to play. And I think Almeria go into knowing that they are better than Cadiz, despite Cadiz being in the league for a while. But I think they enter with humility that I don't think Cadiz will have. Cadiz know they need to win this match to get 3 points to try to get them to stay in the league. These are the matches they need to win against newly promoted sides at home. I think that's going to put them in more of an aggressive position, and I like that for Almeria even more. I like Almeria plus 1/4. I also like under 2 1/4 because I don't know where goals come from with Cadiz. They certainly have some big mistakes in that surrender goals or give up penalties, but I feel like Almeria, like I just said, might be a little bit more defensive here, knowing Cadiz are going to come out guns blazing and have to win this match at home. It's not a must win, but they're going to be playing like Cadiz will at home. And I like under and Almeria as well. Celta de Vigo then hosts Sevilla. Currently Celta a 1/4 goal favorite. They're on a new manager and had some time to prepare, I guess, because they just had a month off. Sevilla, on the other hand, of course, under a new manager, they're playing a lot more aggressively. And I part of me wants to buy into Sevilla getting better. I just feel like their roster is too weak at this point. So Celta, quarter goal favorite at home, over under is 2.25. I just don't know where Sevilla goals come from. They were a pretty easy bet or fade really for a lot of the season. Pretty much, besides as a big underdog against the really good teams in Champions League, they've been a really bad favorite. And I feel like finally the market has kind of caught up to that a little bit. Maybe is giving Sevilla a little bit less credit now than maybe they deserve. But I'm not going to find out that I jumped on the Sevilla bandwagon too early. I was looking at back Celta de Vigo here. They haven't had a great year. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be on the front foot. They're going to try to score goals. They're going to possess the ball a lot. It's going to leave them pretty open for Sevilla to counterattack. The problem is, even with the big run for Yusuf En-Nesyri in the World Cup, and who knows if he'll be available for this matchup, I just still don't believe in Sevilla to score goals. So the setup and kind of the style of these two teams would tell you that goals will be scored, but I actually lean under 2.25. I think is the biggest interest for me, but not really interested in Sevilla getting that quarter of a goal. Real Valladolid then hosts Real Madrid in a battle of royal teams, one known by almost nobody, unless you're in Spain, probably. But Valladolid are a really good home team, a really good underdog, and I feel like a team that I was really sad that got relegated 2 seasons ago. But fortunately for all of us, they came right back up, and they've been doing great, I think, financially for me so far this season. I'm sure a lot of you have been following along as well. And Real Valladolid getting 1.25 goals at home is a lot. Problem is they're playing Real Madrid. Karim Benzema, after refusing to return to the French team because he and Didier Deschamps hate each other, should be right there available. Vinny Jr. hasn't played for a while because Brazil went out early. The more and more I talk about Real Madrid, the way better players, I'm concerned. I imagine that Luka Modric and Aurelien Tchouameni might not be available for this one, or maybe for a couple matches, which is a good thing. But Real Madrid have depth on depth on depth. Valladolid are a pretty deep team, considering it's still amazing to me they got relegated 2 seasons ago, but goals are a problem for them. They're going to try to be as defensive as possible. You saw with El Yamik and his mistake against France in the semifinal of the World Cup that they do have some trouble, and will have some trouble with Real Madrid. I think for Valladolid's sake, I don't want their confidence shaking, because I do plan to back them a lot towards the end of the season. But a big lopsided win for Real Madrid, I think, might inspire them and put them maybe a little bit lesser in the market's mind, and set me up for a play on them moving forward. But not sure I really want to dabble with the +1.25 against Real Madrid. That should have Karim Benzema available. I think he's really the most important part of any offense, maybe in all of Europe. And under 3, probably my lean, that I think Valladolid will try their best to keep this as low scoring as possible. Real Madrid do a great job of scoring goals late, and I feel like you could probably get a push on 3. That's probably my biggest interest in this one. Moving to Saturday, I guess New Year's Day, or I guess New Year's Eve. We have Barcelona hosting Espanyol, big rivalry in Catalonia. Barcelona, a 1.75 goal favorite with most of the juice right now. Over under is 3.25. And I don't think that Espanyol are really a team we can rely upon to score goals, which makes it really hard to back them getting nearly 2 from their in-city cross-city rival. Big derby for sure in Catalonia, but I know that Espanyol cannot score with Barcelona. It really depends on how well Espanyol defends. I feel like that's not a really good situation or setup. Barcelona played really well entering into the break. And I feel like they think they can win this league. And I don't think Espanyol are really a team that can stop them. Might even see over 3.25 goals, because I don't think either team will play defense here, especially because Espanyol will be chasing once Barcelona take a lead. I think if Espanyol do take an early lead, they're going to try to shut down shop and try to keep it as low scoring as possible. That would be a great situation for under. I just don't necessarily believe that Espanyol can do that. And I feel like once they fall behind, they're going to open up and try to get as offensive as possible, and Barcelona will take major advantage of that. Next, we have Villarreal hosting Valencia. Currently, Villarreal a 0.5 goal favorite. All the juice on Valencia right now on the road. Over under is 2.5. And Villarreal, they've been through a lot this year. Unai Emery just basically having a bad start to the season and running away to Aston Villa. Probably was about money, and that's probably realistic. But I also feel like the problems they were having at Villarreal probably led to that a little bit. As I feel like I'm going to sneeze live on a podcast. Perfect. Here we go. I guess it's not a yawn this time, but if you guys listen to me regularly. But so back to Villarreal, they've had a lot of trouble, unfortunately. They built up a really deep squad and have not been able to score goals. And that's a big problem for a team that was I mean, they're in the Conference League, so they moved on very easily, but ultimately they invested a lot, I think, to keep Unai Emery around. It didn't really matter because he ended up bolting mid-season. And I feel like it's been really tough. Quique Setien was an awful manager for Barcelona a few seasons ago during the COVID year. Pretty much just automatically bet against Barcelona whenever he was manager. And it was just how much money did you risk? You won it. I fear that, I mean, he supposedly had a really heralded career before with Real Betis and other places, but I haven't seen it from him yet. And I feel like Valencia, while they're younger, they are growing into a really good team. I really like Gattuso as a manager. He left Napoli and had some bad things, skeletons out of the closet. I'm not sure what to say about him in general, but I feel like he's done a really good job of getting the younger players to buy in to lesser roles, try to build them as the team grows. Villarreal, they have a deep squad, but they were not able to score goals whatsoever entering into the break. I don't think it's going to be easy for them to come out of it and start all of a sudden scoring yet again. Valencia certainly have some issues defensively, but I feel like as they get healthier and they didn't have a lot of players go to the World Cup. Yunus Musa did, but he was out early for the U.S. And I got to say, I feel like Valencia are a really live dog here. Villarreal, I think they should be back in their home stadium, which is a big deal. And I think that also added to some of their problems. They were playing in the City Stadium, their rival actually where Levante plays, but very interested in Valencia, and under 2.5 is interesting to me because I don't think either team has a lot of goal scoring talent in either of them. And which makes me honestly feel like it's a lot of these unders are also backing the underdog because they have to play defense, and that's a big deal in a lot of these matches. I just don't know that Villarreal will be able to score more than a goal. Could see a clean sheet even at home. And I guess that lends to Valencia plus 1.5 and also to under 2.5. Real Sociedad, Osasuna, then there's our last match from Spain for this midweek. I guess goes through Friday. Real Sociedad, a half a goal favorite to Osasuna. Real Sociedad also a over-under is 2.25, juice to the under. So Real Sociedad have not been a great offense this season. Maybe they have Mikel Oyarzabal back. He was supposed to be back for the World Cup, but clearly didn't happen and was not available to Spain. And was one of the most important pieces for their team before he got injured. It's been about a year, so he's been out for a while. Can't imagine he'll come back firing by any means. Carlos Fernandez recently returned, but was really struggling up front with Sorloth, who is another just good body, good talent, big body, but hasn't really shown that he could score goals efficiently. And I feel like that's the same problem that Real Sociedad are going to have. Meanwhile, Osasuna, the good manager who has always done better than you'd expect with his resources, got some actual attacking players that's made the Osasuna offense a lot better. And I feel like they go in there thinking to another Basque rival that they are close to equal. And I like that they're only half a goal underdog going on the road to Sociedad. A draw does win. But ultimately, I think Osasuna can go into Real Arena. I've been there. It's really loud, especially when they get mad at referees. To think I'm deaf still. But Osasuna do have the ability to cause some problems for Real Sociedad. I think they can score goals. Ante Budimir should be available. He didn't play that much for Croatia, I don't think, but also might be on the bench. And if he's missing, that could be a big loss there. But don't see a lot of goals being scored. I feel like 1-0 is a very likely result. I'm not sure which way it goes. So that makes me lean to Osasuna plus 0.5 and also to the under 2.25. And so I guess I'll do best bets end of show, or as obviously I will, but maybe maybe the ultimate best bet that I've been teasing that'll be coming end of show. I'll do that, and I'll go over everything from France, which we'll go to now, and then back through La Liga, just in case anyone only wants to listen to the last recap section, because I know that's really popular with the TikTok generation. So we have Wednesday matches here. That's tomorrow, recording Tuesday night in the US. Ajaccio and Angers. Currently, Ajaccio a half a goal favorite. Over under is 2.25. Ajaccio couldn't score any goals. They're newly promoted side on the island of Corsica, I believe, in the ocean, essentially. Want to go there, definitely. But they host Angers, who had some decent showing in the World Cup, despite being one of the worst teams, if not bottom of Ligue 1. Hard to explain that one, but I guess that's how it goes. Anyway, Ajaccio, half a goal favorite at home. Don't really have a lot of talent, don't have a lot of goal scorers. And so ultimately, if you're going to back this one, I mean, you're playing Angers, being that they have talent and you think they can go in there and defend. It's going to be hard on the road, but it is the first match back. We saw in England that first match back. Defense has been not so good on the lesser teams, but I don't really see Angers being that much lesser than Ajaccio. And I feel like Angers has been a team that people thought were going to get relegated for a long time. I mean, they were loaning out their goalkeeper last season because they could get some money in. So I feel like they have shown some resolve, and I feel like a half of a goal is too high. So I like Angers getting a half of a goal. Also like under 2.25, because I don't know where the goal scorers are in this one, but I do think the Angers offense is a lot more dynamic than what we've seen from Ajaccio so far, at least this season. Estac Trois then host Nantes, also in this 9 a.m. window Eastern time on Wednesday. Trois a pick'em with all the juice right now, over unders 2.5. I liked the idea of Nantes. They had a emotional first half of the season. Since they won the Coupe de France, they're playing in Europa League, did get through their group, if I'm not mistaken. Those things were not looking good there. They've not been good in balancing either the competitions. Were like a mid-table team last season, then had to play 2 matches a week, really difficult, and they will have to do that going forward, but at least until they're eliminated, but I don't think that comes till February, so we got some time. Estac Trois, I just don't believe that they're a great team. They were surprises, I guess, to stick around for a second season. But I feel like they're a really good candidate, especially with 4 teams going down in Liga, that they're going to have some trouble in the second half. I think Nantes have a lot better players. I really trust and love their goalkeeper, Lafont, excuse me. And there's a lot of good players at Nantes. And I feel like as this moves, it's currently a pick'em with getting odds right now. But as it moves to a quarter, I get more and more interested in Nantes. I do think they can score goals. I don't think either of these teams have great offenses, though. So under 2.5 looks most interesting to me because I do like the underdog as well. I think I like Nantes more than anything. I'll be looking forward to them moving to a quarter. Angers then hosts Monaco. Currently, Angers a 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice right now at home. Over under is 2.75. Monaco had some players at the World Cup, but they are really talented. Wissam Ben Yedder is one of the scariest strikers when he's hot, and he's been hot for a really long time. I don't think playing with the national team for France has reduced his confidence whatsoever. Angers, they're a team that kind of had some good results early in the season, but it's been pretty apparent they can't score goals. So it's certainly why they're a big underdog at home. But Monaco are a lot better. They've got great set pieces. They really do the little things well, which I think is important. It's where Monaco almost qualified for Champions League or finished in Champions League spot last season because they came and won 10 matches in a row to finish the year. I don't know that this is the same team this year, all this sort of stuff, but I don't really want to get in the way of them with a team that I don't think could score. Clermont Foot then hosts Lille. Currently, Clermont a half a goal underdog at home. Over unders 2.5. Lille, big surprise, awesome first half of the season. Probably deserve this number, deserve their place in the table. They're sold off a ton of pieces, but have a ton more. It's amazing. I guess France is so deep as a nation, but ultimately they got to develop the players, and Lille have done a great job of that. Clermont, I feel like, have gotten some really almost disrespected by the Liga market for most of the season. I don't know that I necessarily want to fade Lille, though I think Clermont could give them a game at home, especially. Probably won't be a big crowd, but it's Christmas time or whatever, and I assume there's going to be a big showing there. Lean to Clermont as a home dog, certainly, and don't really see a ton of goals here, but I do worry that if Clermont get in a scoring contest, they will not be able to keep up with Lille. Lille are really strong in that way. So if you like Clermont, you probably like under, or if you like Clermont under, you probably like Clermont to hang around. Stade de Brest then hosts Lyon, Olympique Lyonnais. Currently Brest a half a goal underdog at home, Stade Brestois, and also the over-under is 2.75. Brest are a defensive team. They do have some attacking talent, more than you'd expect for someone, especially the way the Liga treats them with the market, the numbers they get. Problem is Lyon could score a ton of goals, and I don't think Brest can keep up with Lyon. So the real question here is, can Brest keep Lyon off the scoreboard? Can they keep a clean sheet? Then you're definitely covering the half of a goal. If they give up a goal, can they match? And that's the biggest question. I think you want to see who's playing in this Brest lineup. I haven't heard of any player sales, though I do think that the window is coming up and we need to be careful about that, especially for French league teams that need influxes of cash just to keep the lights on. And they have pretty strict bankruptcy rules, unlike for the Trump family here in the United States. But Brest at a half of a goal as an underdog, I think they're going to have a huge crowd behind them. It's going to be a really, really great event tomorrow. But I just don't know that I like them enough. I think if anything, I want a little bit more safety and under 2.75, because I do think Brest can make it hard for Lyon to score. But I think ultimately, if you're backing Brest, you're hoping they get a counterattacking goal or get a goal early, or just being the first one to score, hold on for dear life, and hopefully only don't get two. So I think I'm more interested in under than I am in Brest. PSG then hosts Strasbourg. PSG a 2-goal favorite. Over under is 3.5. Imagine this number would be bigger if PSG had all their players available, but I'm not sure what accoutrement will be around. Messi's probably still in Argentina, or at least working his way back. Kylian Mbappe as well. And without those two, maybe Neymar is still available. He hasn't played for a while, sadly for him. But without that three-headed monster, I mean, PSG are still much better, and Strasbourg have had a really tough season. But as you start losing two of the best players in the world, and potentially three, I'm not sure what to expect from this one. You might get them all, though, and this number feels pretty short. I'm only -2 for PSG in the Parc des Princes. But ultimately, I think Strasbourg have a really good offensive triumvirate up front, 3 strikers they rotate, but they haven't been able to score goals. And if that's not working, they don't have anything else. So I just don't think they're a team I want to back. I guess if I had to go something, under 3.5, because that's a lot of goals. It's hard to get them. Moving to Thursday, we have Lorient hosting Montpellier. Currently, Lorient a half a goal favorite. All the juice on Montpellier. Over under is 2 3/4. And I'm actually surprised to see this number. Lorient were a team I was backing pretty much every week. They had a really great start to the season, and were underdogs even against the bottoms of the league, and just kept winning over and over and over again. Sadly, those days seem that they are over. It was fun while it lasted, but Montpellier have been a really talented team that has sold off a lot of players and just really are in a downward spiral. I hope they're not going to get relegated, because they do have some history behind them, and they have some great players and are really fun to watch. But they're not a team I want to back. They don't have a defense worth even considering, really. So half of a goal from a team that's been overperforming and really finally getting some respect probably still isn't enough for Lorient at home. Reims and Rennes. Reims, the Champagne region of France, are quarter goal underdogs at home. Over under is 2.5. Stade Rennais, or Rennes as they're referred to at Bet Online, they're a team I bet to finish in a European position. They've got off to a really slow start, but have been playing really well, dominating their Europa League competition right now. And I think I have them finishing top 5. So I think that's Europa League spots, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, Reims were really good to me last season. Went through a manager change this year because things weren't going very well. They sold off a lot of players, including a goalkeeper that they really needed, who's been awesome for Mallorca in Spanish league. And unfortunately, they've been trying to rebuild and become a team that they were. I think they have an Arsenal loanee still, unless I missed something with him getting transferred back. I think he's probably good to go, because Arsenal are rolling right now in the Premier League. But I don't think Reims has the same defense. While Fayez went to Leicester City in the Premier League, and unfortunately, they've been recovering from really big positional losses. Rennes are a team that really stretch you out, and they're really great at cutback passing to score goals and win games. Unfortunately, I just don't think that Reims have a good enough crowd based on the team being in flux. Last season, I probably would strongly consider this, and then hopefully I didn't bet it, because Rennes killed me last year. But I think Rennes are going to go in this game and have a good chance to win, and are only giving me a quarter, so I'm not sure that's enough for me. I'll play under 2.5 would be my guess, because I don't think the Rennes offense has been as good, and I think Reims will be out there trying to stop as much of the cutback passing as possible. But that doesn't really go well for a quarter goal underdog at home, just trying to defend the whole match. Next, we have Olympique Nice, and they're hosting Racing Club de Lens. Been a little while, a little out of practice pronouncing my French, but anyway, here we are. Currently, Nice are a quarter goal underdog at home from Lens. Lens have been awesome, control the ball. They're going to go after it, even I think when they play PSG next match day. They're going to give everything they can, and everything that Nice can handle. And that's unfortunately a big problem. I've not really been a big fan of Favre, the manager for Nice, especially in his time at Borussia Dortmund. He was awful, and I know he's got a lot of history behind him, but ultimately, Lens are a better team that are going to go in there with a plan, with a fight and attitude that I don't think Nice can handle. Nice are in the midst of a rebuilding project. They're really young, and I think they're going to have some struggles with Lens. Very juiced quarter goal underdog right now are Nice at home. I think this might close pick'em. I'd like lean Lens, if anything, at that. Probably won't be anywhere near my card, though. I just don't really want to make it a habit of going against a team I really like in Lens, and I really want them to get through this match healthy so that they can take on PSG in the next match. Lean to under I should probably lean over 2.25. Rare for me to have an over lean, but I think there will be goals. Lens are going to be very aggressive, and Nice certainly look like they're a team that can wither under that pressure. Last but not least, we have Olympique Marseille and Toulouse hosting Toulouse. Marseille, a 1-goal favorite with all the juice right now. Over under is 3. So they're expecting a lot of goals. Marseille play a lot better at home in Le Orange Velodrome, but unfortunately, they are not really the team that we were looking at entering the year. I feel like playing in Champions League and playing in Ligue, they were playing one good match a week pretty much, despite playing a bunch of players as if they were trying to win both. And I think dancing at two weddings was very, very difficult. Toulouse, on the other hand, they're a very offensive club that came up, were Ligue winners, and have been awesome. I'm very actually excited to see them getting a full goal of insurance right now from Marseille and looking like it's going to climb even higher. Abu Khalal played a lot off the bench for Morocco. Good young player for Toulouse, striker or second striker. He's a huge goal threat, even off the bench. If he doesn't start this match, I wouldn't be shocked. But I think Marseille are going to have real trouble separating from Toulouse. Toulouse is going to go in there and they're going to push them around and try to say, we are tough. We deserve to be here. Marseille certainly have a lot of great players, but they don't necessarily have a much better team than the team concept of Toulouse that have done so well this season. So very interested in Toulouse +1. I feel like it's really hard for me to say an over under lean, especially with seeing a 3, but I think I lean over if anything, because I think both these teams can score and both will be trying to. That does make the underdog a little bit less interesting, but it's a pretty big goal of insurance right there. And I think I'd even like it at less, maybe even down to a half. So now I'm going to read one of the 5-star reviews from Apple Podcasts from Voltage 309. I might have read this last time, I think. So, and actually, I'll even go more recent. We got a Saturday from Voltage 309. Thank you. You're forever in our hearts for doing it. But I got a new one. Big money killer. That's what we do here. Griffin does a great job of quickly getting us all the soccer updates needed to make a bet. And that's what I'm really trying to do here, is just trying to get as much as I can. I think it helps me with the plays that I'm trying to put out there as well. I've had a pretty good start to the season and a great World Cup. I'm trying to keep that going. But ultimately, me kind of formulating my feelings, opinions, theories, getting them out, having to say them has been actually kind of cathartic, or whatever the word would be for it, and a little bit maybe enlightening as well, because it certainly gets me. It's a little different when you're typing 280 characters on Twitter, but also really want as much feedback as possible from anyone who's listening. If you got a disagreement, please save me some money. I'd love to not lose the umpteenth bet of the year or whatever on a late goal if I can avoid it. So thank you, of course, especially to Big Money Killer for the nice note. But I'll be reading one of these for each podcast going forward. And now you've reached it. We've now come to, I guess we're almost at the end of the show. We're still not there yet, because we got one more thing I got to read, and that is a coupon code from pregame.com. If you're listening and you want to buy some picks, this applies to all accounts on pregame.com, but 20% off for all listeners of this European podcast. Use the promo code PARTY20. Everyone's going to a New Year's Eve party. I guess we got a whole different version of all these sort of things coming out here, but PARTY20 gets you 20% off for all listeners of this European soccer podcast. Get my picks. I try to get them out each night. Throwing out college basketball and soccer picks for the foreseeable future. Got some NFL out there last weekend. Finally got a win on the Giants, but ultimately there's a lot of great other, like my college basketball co-host, AJ Hoffman. He's always got picks out there. I'm sure UFC's going to have another dungeon in some sort of on Mars or something like that. So if you want those type of picks, look there as well. And I guess now I can finally use the promo code PARTY20, get some credit for it for everyone listening and using it. So I'm going to go through in one fell swoop, pull out a best bet from Liga and also from La Liga, and then ultimately label one as the ultimate best bet. But I'm going to go from top to bottom as quickly as possible. Lightning round, if you will. Don't sue me, Jim Cramer. But I like Angers getting half a goal at Ajaccio. I think I like that under 2.25 as well. And that one, no, I'm waiting for them to get to a quarter. I do have an interest in under 2.5 in that one, but not that strong either. Angers and Monaco, I'm going to skip. Clermont Foot, I like a little bit, but I'm a little bit worried about fading Lille, even Lille on the road. Stade de Brestois, I think that they are going to try their best to keep Lyon quiet. I think under 2.75 is my biggest interest in that one. but Lyon's offense is awesome and they're scary. PSG, very interested to see what lineup they put out there. Probably am skipping a Strasbourg side that I just really don't want to back yet until they turn their ship around, because it's not looking great right now. Same can be said for Montpellier. Reims at home to Reims, I feel like it's going to be a tough matchup, and it's going to be Reims trying to keep Rennes out as long as they possibly can. Under 2.5, I think, is my biggest interest there. Nice is a home dog to Lens. I don't want to be against Lens, and I don't really know where the goal scoring is going to go in that one. And then Toulouse, I do like getting +1 on the road at Marseille. I also I feel like that number gets a little bit higher, maybe hits 1.25, so you can lose by a single goal and still take some money home. That'd be awesome. Profit money, that is. And so I think Toulouse is my favorite team to back here, because I love that +1. And I'll make that my best bet for France. Angers, we're kind of climbing in there. Pretty interested in that one as well. But ultimately, I think I want to back a Toulouse team that I think can go into the Velodrome and make it really hard on Marseille to even get out of there with a win. I wouldn't be shocked if Toulouse win there and one as well. Now, going back to Spain, run through this card starts on Thursday. I like Rayo Vallecano. I think under 2.25 is my biggest interest in that opener. Real Betis, I'm waiting for them to become an underdog, more so than they currently are, with a little bit more of the juice on Athletic Club at the moment. Nothing for Elche until they prove they are capable and competent, and I don't think that'll happen this season. Moving to Friday, Mallorca, I like on the road at Getafe, but nothing for me really to do at Pick'em. Hoping that some more money comes in at Getafe, and then that will make me potentially look into and potentially put me on Mallorca, but current number, not so much. I do like under 1.75 in that one, but I think under 2 is probably a deal breaker. Cadiz and Almeria, I like Almeria getting 1/4 goal on the road. I also like under 2.25. Just really not as simple as fading Cadiz offense, but it's also part of it. Sevilla, I can't really back at Celta de Vigo. No real feel for a total there. Valladolid, I want to back in the future, but not against a team like Real Madrid. Certainly, if there's some weird lineup stuff with Real Madrid, that might be an interesting thing. But I think Benzema, who's the most important player in probably to any team across Europe, should be playing, should be starting, and that's enough for me to want to cower away. Barcelona Espanyol, I think you're going to see goals in that one, so I don't really want to deal with the underdog. I do like Valencia on the road at Villarreal. I also like under 2.5. As I feel like Valencia can go in there and make it really hard for Villarreal. And last but not least, Real Sociedad and Osasuna. I like Osasuna getting 1/2 goal. I like under 2.25 more, because I think goals are going to be really tough to come by in that one. So to go along with Toulouse +1, potentially 1.25, if you get so lucky, if we see some movement in the direction it's looking so far for right now, put that on your list. But I think my best bet from Spain will be, it will be, I think I'm going to go in that opener, Rayo Vallecano under 2.25. And when I think about those two matchups, or the two options for my best bets from Spain, being Rayo Vallecano under 2.25 on the road at Girona, or Toulouse +1 at Marseille, I think I'm going to go with Rayo Vallecano under 2.25. I feel like the offenses in this one are really, really questionable. Rayo's going to go in there and play a counterattacking brand. They're going to set up defensively. It's going to make Girona come out. I don't think they necessarily want to do that. I think they're going to want to try to win that match at home. But ultimately, I think it's going to be hard to score goals here. It's first match back in La Liga play, and I think it's going to be a big, big challenge for both these clubs. So there we go. That is my ultimate best bet: Rayo Vallecano Girona, or Girona Rayo Vallecano, since it's at Girona, under 2.25. And that'll be my best bet for this episode 153. Thanks for tuning in. If you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave a 5-star review. I'll read the next one on here. I haven't switched over to Spotify reviews yet, but we got a few more of the Apple ones to get through, and hopefully more between the next show. Thank you again. I might as well name drop the last two that I've read so far: Big Money Killer, also Voltage 309. Thank you for coming in and throwing something down there. Got a 5 out of 5 right now. Certainly, I know everyone doesn't love it, but 5-star reviews are huge. Gets me up the queue. And we're looking forward to the next podcast. Will likely be an English Premier League one, maybe specifically to that, coming probably on Thursday night as we get ready for matches on Friday. Thanks for tuning in again. The Real_G Warner on Twitter, and feel free, slide us a DM, say whatever you'd like. Really anything. It's not gonna hurt my feelings too much. But thanks for coming in, and we'll talk to you soon.